Record. Fantastic. All right. Hi, everybody. Stephanie Hingstenberg here with the Healthy, Happy Living in the Spotlight series. Most of you have seen some of my interviews in the past, and today is no different. That I have just been networking heavily for the last 2.5 years and have met a lot of people in the holistic practitioner space that I want to share with other folks. I didn't know they existed, so I feel like it's very important and part of what I am supposed to do on this planet to make sure that I share the information and these people with my network. So that is what this is all about. And today I'm so fantastically excited to share Sarah Bednar with you guys. She has a company called the Modern Day Tribe, and she is a Dallas-based doula, which is awesome. And honestly, I will have to say, my husband, once he found out what a doula was, he said, "Can I get one?" Like he wanted one to wipe the brow of his head when we were, delivering our babies. But I think that the work that you do is really, really special. So why don't we take a minute and you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, so much for having me on. And my name is Sarah Bednar, and I have a business named the Modern Day Tribe. And I'm actually a postpartum doula specifically. I do some education while parents are pregnant, and they look for that information before they go into their birth and postpartum, and that's an important aspect too. So I really support parents before and after their birth. There are some, and we can talk about it, there is a difference between, for example, a birth doula versus a postpartum doula, and some doulas do both. There are many doulas that do both. And at this point, I just do postpartum. That's really where my passion is. And then the education for that. So
that's awesome.
That's what I do.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that there were two different types. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, very, very cool. So, just to get to know you a little bit better. So we were talking about this a little bit before we hit record and go live. But where did you grow up?
I actually grew up kind of all over the U.S. and a little bit outside of the country because my dad was in the Air Force. My mom was a combination of stay-at-home mom and a teacher. And I later became a teacher too, but that's where the education comes in. That's where my passion is. But my dad was in the Air Force, and I was born in Oklahoma City. We moved, he was stationed then in the Portugal Islands named the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean. And I really wish I had remembered. I was just tiny, so the pictures are beautiful. And then we, and then we moved to Montgomery, Alabama, and then to Fort Worth, and then to St. Louis, and back to Dallas is where I pretty much grew up in Dallas, Plano area since 4th grade. So I did all that moving till 4th grade, and then I grew up pretty much here. So, yeah.
That's a lot of shifting at that age of your life. Holy moly.
And it was fine. It was just what we were used to, and yeah.
Wow,
it was nice.
That's amazing.
It was good exploring, a lot of adventure.
Gotcha. Well, great. So did you land in Plano, or are you around this area now?
Plano, yeah. And that's where I went to school, yeah, since 4th grade, and graduated from Plano, and just went on from there, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So with your business, do you usually see people in the Plano, Frisco area, or are you all over?
I'm really all over. Since I did grow up around here, I'm very comfortable with the area, all the way to Prosper. I mean, I would venture off into Denton if really needed. I actually know some resources. I'm very much like you. I loved your introduction about doing, and that's the reason why I have my own podcast. And just to meet resources for my clients. And the more people I know and get connected with, the more that I learn, and the more that I can support my clients better. I'm just one person. So obviously not knowing that I can't do it all, then if I have a lot of good resources, I always say a good doula has a lot of good resources. So
Well,
an answer to your,
okay, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say, an answer to your question, yeah, all the way from, Prosper, just north of me, to McKinney over in Allen, all through there, Richardson. I'm just going to kind of go all the way around.
Yeah.
And Dallas, there's Carrollton. Fort Worth is a little bit further away, but I'm comfortable with all those areas. So yeah,
it's amazing. Well, and I really feel what you're saying, and can totally agree with you that I have met so many great people that just I feel like is another tool for my toolbox.
That's right.
So in my business and what I do and how I help people, I know that I'm not a doula, but I know a great one. So, it's really helpful, I think. And the more people that connect and network that way, I think it's a good thing.
That's right.
Okay, great. Well, let me ask you this. So what do you think is one of your superpowers?
Oh gosh. So, from my perspective, a little simple one is like I can find something that, especially my house, like I can visualize. I guess that's ultimately what it is my visualization. And I think it's really helped in sports and that sort of thing, and really having a positive mindset, visualizing the good, but also visualizing like where things are, just spatial. But I think if you would ask somebody else, and I think that's where God led me to the doula work, is a calming sense. When people say that I talk to them a lot of times about my passion or about my family, they say, this is from other people, that I have a calming sense about me. And so I guess that could be a superpower.
That absolutely is a superpower. Absolutely. Because in those times of stress like we are dealing with right now, it is really nice to know that you can have somebody that you can call and just help to calm that down. That is very awesome. So I think those are two fantastic ones. So speaking of this time in our lives where, quarantine and COVID and everything that's happening, it's easy to focus on things that aren't so great, but considering that your superpower is focusing on the things that are great, what have you found that you love about this time? What is something that you just have found that you love that you didn't know that you were going to love?
Well, I figured I would love it. That part of the question, I figured I would, but really just being with my family, I have 3 kids. I have a 14, 11, and a 4-year-old, and married. And my husband was in one of those jobs that, fortunately enough, that he continued to work, and but he did move back home and work from home. So just being together. Obviously, there are times that we need to get outside and get some fresh air and maybe be by ourselves. Of course, we're not like some strange family that just sits in the same room all day, every day, by any means. But I really loved it. I think before the quarantine, I really got glimpses of it when my kids are at the beginning of the year. Obviously it's exciting for them, and I always am excited for them. But at the same time, at the end of the school year, when they are just back home, and I just cherish that time. And it sounds kind of silly and goofy, but I really do feel that way. And when I get to have that friend time too with my good friends, I really cherish that time. And we have really realized that, I think, through this quarantine type pandemic.
It's given us kind of a very interesting viewpoint of what really is important to us, right? What is rising to the top is the things that are really super important.
Absolutely.
And how can we focus on those things in a more positive light, I think, is what has been
That's
really
right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what would you say is one of your all-time favorite accomplishments so far?
Oh gosh. maybe most moms would say this, but having kids for sure. I mean, that seems to be such a, and maybe this is why I'm in this particular area of business, but you know, having kids for sure. And, you know, I guess there's different aspects to our lives. So like business, it would be a little bit something different, you know, starting a business and everything that I've done. I've never done that on my own as far as done my own business. And so getting that started in the last 3 years has been really neat. I've actually written down notes about it, so hopefully I can write about it someday and make it into a book or something, you know.
I love that. Right.
And all those steps, to take to start a business and to get certified and to, you know, there's so many steps, that the financial part, the education part, the continued professional development, it's all important in a good business. Steps to do that is important.
Yeah,
so
I completely
it's another good accomplishment that I feel like that I've done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a huge one, especially when you have 3 kids. Holy moly. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot on one's plate. So why is it that you strive to be, you know, the best postpartum doula there is? Is there, why get into that space, and why is that a drive for you?
So I think that's kind of a 2-part answer for me. One is I feel I've always said that I'm a lifelong learner, and I love learning things. And so that's probably why I went on after my bachelor's degree to get a master's degree. I got a master's degree in teacher leadership, and I loved it. I was actually pregnant with my second child, and went in the middle of that, and we moved home. So, but that drive to learn new things and to study and to, I really pray that I continue that, because I love that part of it. But with the doula work, I really love I strive to be the best that I can for my clients, and it kind of goes back to what you were talking about, that we really are the same or very similar, is striving to be the best, and that I can provide the most for them, for my clients.
Right.
And part of that is taking care of myself, and part of that is the education, the continued professional development. Part of that is time management, and just being the best that I can for my clients is really going to result in them being the best that they can too. So that's kind of my thought process with that.
Awesome. What made you decide on postpartum doula?
So even my third child, I actually did not know what a doula was. I think maybe I had heard of what a doula was, but I just, surprisingly, it just never, it's like I always say, I never got the memo, I guess. So I really didn't. And I think if I would have known more about doula work, I would have pursued using a doula. And I think that in turn, now that I know so much about that doula space and doula work, I strive to get that memo out to as many people, women especially, having their babies, about that work and what they do and what they can provide, because I didn't get that. I had times with all 3 of my kids that I had a lot of support, because I have family here and friends, but there were times even with that, I didn't feel like I was supported. I felt alone. And, you know, I felt like I've been on both sides of it too. I've worked while I've had kids, and I've been a stay-at-home mom. Either way, it's hard. It's difficult. It's a lot of hard work. So I feel like I've been in different scenarios where the knowing what the clients are going through, I can have that personal experience, but then the education really is going to also push me to do the best that I can for my clients. So
that's awesome. So what did you specifically, like, was there a course that you saw, or how
Yeah.
did you get introduced to it?
So I had been staying at home for a while with supporting my family and my kids. And I actually was talking to my mom, and she told me about one of her friends that went to go take care of babies every once in a while. And, just talking to her about uh, what she did, and found out that she was a doula. She's a birth and postpartum doula. And I just dove into it. Like, what is a doula? And I've always loved babies. I've always worked with children, in the space of teaching and that sort of thing. But that pregnant women and babies and families at that very early stages of family, I've really just been, had a passion for it. And when that idea of being a doula came up, like I said, I've just dove into it. I literally like doula definition, on Google.
Yeah.
And I looked at, different doulas in the area. What is doula? How do you get certified? And just kind of snowballed from there. And then I found that about that time, there was a DONA, that's who I'm certified through, DONA International. Okay. And they had a class, a course that you take when you start your certification process. And they had one in the area at that time. And I was like, I'm here for it. I'm in. So I registered for it, and it's a full 3-day course. And that's to get you started. You really dive in deep to what a doula is. And my doula instructor is Ann Grauer. She was from past president of DONA also. And she was phenomenal. I mean, I had tears at the end of it, thinking what kind of work I could do for women and how I could support them. So it really just, it's like I said, it snowballed from there. Just looking into what a doula was, finding that course, and just going through the whole process of certification. And I've just loved it, every minute of it. Yeah.
Because that's heart work, that's soul work, that's really, connecting with other women in a space and time when, boy, do they need it so very much. And that's beautiful. I love that. So are there 2 specific success stories or things that that because you were there at that time, that this went in a positive direction? Are there any stories that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, and not being too specific with any clients or anything, but and just in general, there are times where I can see but I hear clients talking to me, and that, I guess, that comfort level comes, and they share things with me. They share things, the feelings, and that's part of what a doula does. We're good listeners. And a good listener will give you that space to talk about things that you're concerned about, that you're worried about, or things that have happened that you wish would have gone differently. And of course, there's celebrations in that too, talking about maybe their birth and the things that they're really proud of, and they just want to share it with somebody. And with everything else going on after baby is born, they might not get to celebrate that too. So just being a good listener, I think I see that in my clients being able to open up, and they feel free and they feel open to sharing in the first place. And then after they've shared, whether it's a traumatic experience that they've shared, or a celebration, I think a lot of times when someone just says it out loud, it really helps the process of getting through that. And I feel like that's a big success when I see that with my clients. That's amazing. That is a big one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what have you learned from, has there been a scenario where, failure is just kind of a term that we use because we all know what that means, but where it's literally learning from something that may have not gone exactly as we planned? Is there a situation that you recall that was your top learning?
Okay. My best learning opportunity is what I always
Yes,
call it.
there we go.
Yeah. So I've been pretty fortunate, at least through my doula work and learning how to start a business. There's been a lot of things, a lot of hiccups where I thought, well, that didn't go as well.
My
And
dogs are going to go crazy. Keep going.
it's okay. And um, I've really looked forward to doing an event.
Sorry, hang on 1 second. Hang on.
It's okay.
Is that somebody at the door? I'm. Okay, we're back.
Hey,
Wow.
this is real life, I'm surprised I haven't had some knocks on the door yet either.
Right. I'm right here by the front door too, so.
Yeah, me too. It's right there, so I understand.
Okay, so you were saying an event?
So, I don't know if I would consider it a failure, but it was definitely a learning opportunity because I wasn't able to get to carry it out. Last year, about this, no, it was closer to April when I decided that I really had this call to do a women's retreat. And I got the process started, and there were so many steps that I took in creating that event and putting it together. And it was supposed to be this summer, so this July. So with all this quarantine and the virus and everything, we had to cancel. But, I don't see it as really a failure, but I am grateful for all of that learning that I had because I truly believe there will be a time that we can easily get back together. Maybe it looks a little bit different, but that's something that I wasn't able to carry out. I'm not sure that I would say that it was something that I did wrong, but there were so many things that I guess I was nervous about because I was learning so much, putting that together. I had done events before as a teacher, and I was a literacy specialist. So we did school-wide events, and I was the leader of that, those kind of things. And so, I have the confidence in pushing myself to do something like that. But it was all new, like a different venue. It was out of the city, and, getting the speakers together and all of that. And the fun VIP bags and just everything, sponsors, just there's a lot to it, to events, that anybody that's put one on, and a lot of behind the scenes. And you've done a lot of the on stage and all those things and performances. And I just loved it. It was just a great, big, huge learning opportunity. And I'm just going to be even more ready the next time I'm going to be able to do it. So.
No, absolutely. And I had the same thing happen to me. Last year, I put together an event called the Frisco Wellness Fair, and it was beautiful, and it just went so beautifully. And the plan was to do that again this year in May, and it did not happen. It did not happen. And in fact, I was going to reschedule it to September, and then I just decided this year is just not the year, not the year. So, but someone like you would be invited to that next time. Wink, wink.
Yes.
Well, good. Well, how can people find you? What is the best way for them to find you if they want to know more about your services or if you can help them?
Okay, so I have a few different ways that you can find me. If you're on Facebook, I know we're Facebook Live right now. My business Facebook page is my business name, The Modern Day Tribe.
Okay.
And on Instagram, I'm at Dallas Doula Sarah. Okay. And of course, I've got my website. It's the business name again. It's themoderndaytribe.com. Very easy. Okay. And of course, my phone number and my email are on there, themoderndaytribe@gmail.com. So I'm trying to make it really easy for people to connect with me.
Good. That's very important, because if you don't have that, how are they going to find you? So, we'll do is we'll put that in the down below this video, and then we'll also put that in the YouTube video.
And also I've got a podcast too. So
Oh,
it's
yes, you can.
it's the Modern Day Tribe podcast, birth and postpartum
Wonderful.
resources and stories. So I'd love to share, have people listen to that. I love that platform, and
Yeah.
a YouTube platform, just because it's a free resource. And again,
Yeah.
we're all about resources, and the more we can get information out there, I think the better that we can serve
Better
our
it will be. The
yeah.
better it will be. You're absolutely right. Well, Sarah, thank you so, so much. I honor that you have come here today and shared your story with me and everybody else that's watching. And I just think that it's fantastic what you do. And I'm certainly
Thank
going to,
you.
I mean, I'm not having any children anymore, but I'm certainly looking a little bit more to what you do, because I'm tied into a lot of folks that are still having children. And
Yeah.
I think that that's so important to have that support. It's really something that it's needed. So thank you for coming on with me
Thank
today.
you, Stephanie. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for having me on. I really appreciate you inviting me to do this. I've loved talking to you, and I appreciate it. It was an honor to be here.
Well, I've loved having you. Wonderful, guys. You guys have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you later.